This episode of Inside Aviation is sponsored by Aithre. Aithre is the market leader in health technology and oxygen systems for general aviation, offering certified and experimental hypoxia mitigation solutions including integrated carbon monoxide monitoring, haptic safety wearables, built-in on-demand oxygen conserving systems, and the only oxygen concentrator optimized for unpressurized flight. To learn more about Aithre and how to enhance your flight safety, visit www.aithereaviation.com. Buy any AVI on-demand oxygen system or any turbo oxygen maker system and get one free Illyrian II haptic oximeter and safety wearable. Use code INSIDEAVIATION at checkout. All right, welcome to this episode of Inside Aviation. I'm Ryan. Kevin is out this week on a very nice almost two week long vacation. Very jealous. So it's just me this week, but we have a pre-recorded segment with Keller from our flying finance division. Keller has a lot of experience in the industry. He was an airline transport pilot at one point for a major regional carrier, and then transitioned from selling tractors to now selling aircraft financing, which is a really interesting career path. Really enjoy talking to Keller, and I know we've talked before with Preston Holland about financing private aircraft, private jets, more specifically. But with Keller, we really want to deep dive into the Piston world and how to get a Piston aircraft in your hands and what the market looks like these days for doing that. So really interesting and compelling discussion. Some good laughs in there too about his days flying 135. So I hope you enjoy it.
Keller Lassiter, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for coming on Inside Aviation.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
It's good being in Chattanooga. So you're part of the flying finance team.
Yep.
Under Preston Holland, who we'd had earlier on in the podcast. What got you here? Like, how'd you start your career in aviation? How'd you end up in finance?
Yeah, so I kind of have a unique background as far as how I got into aviation finance. I actually went to Middle Tennessee State University where I did their 141 flying program. Got all the way through, was a CFI for them, CFII as well. Got to about 850 hours and was lucky enough to get my first job flying a beach jet for a 135 charter out of Kentucky. After that, I went off to the 121 world where I flew for ExpressJet for a little bit until their demise, unfortunately. And I guess that was October of 22. Was that or 21?
Airline guy.
Yeah.
I remember ExpressJet really well. I mean, they were one of the largest regional airlines out there.
It was weird when it went down. Yeah.
Oh, it was
coming?
quick. No, honestly, because we were a United carrier and they were giving us 25 brand new E175s.
Yeah.
Which I was lucky to be on that airplane. So in our eyesight, everything was great. We were getting brand new airplanes from United. And next thing you know it said, it started off with, hey guys, we're giving the E175s to a different regional. So I got a class 8.
It rhymes with, it starts with Sky and ends with West. Is that the one?
It does.
Yeah.
I don't think it rhymes. I actually think it's dead. So anyways, we lost the 175. So I actually had a class date to go to the 145 school.
Okay.
And then about 2 weeks after that, they said, hey, all classes are canceled on this date. You know, we're going to be ceasing operations.
Dang.
So yeah, I kind of went, uh-oh. What do I do? Nobody was hiring pilots during this time.
Was the career, like, not to cut you off, but did you want to keep going in 121? Was that the plan to go to a major?
At that time, yeah. I mean, to be honest, of course, it was a regional airline. The schedules were kind of rough. You know, I didn't have the best time at 121, to be honest. It wasn't really for me. There were some months where I was gone, 26, 27 days out of the month, buying my own hotel rooms, crash pads.
Yeah. Was the actual flying boring for the 121 world?
Yeah, it's much more predictable. So again, I came from charter.
Yeah.
So unscheduled charter. And that was, it was daily. It was different. You were going into different airports. You were having, diversions on a reposition leg to go pick up a different client. And so it was really, it just constantly was changing. You get to the 121 world, you bid your schedule out for the whole month in advance, you know exactly what you're doing, and usually doing the same flights.
Yeah.
Chicago to LaGuardia, Chicago to Atlanta, there and back. So it was very predictable. But at the same time, I was commuting. So from Nashville to Chicago.
That's rough.
Friends don't let friends commute.
No.
No, man.
So it was definitely, it wasn't meant for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So after the demise of ExpressJet, I ended up kind of beat bopping around different jobs. I actually sold John Deere equipment for about 2 years, which is where I kind of fell in love with sales.
So you went from tractors to air tractors, huh?
Yeah. So I went from flying 121, 135 to selling John Deere tractors because nobody was hiring pilots.
So you just applied to sell tractors?
Yeah, just applied to all the job postings online.
Yeah.
And I was like,
They're like,
how'd that interview go? Like,
oh, it was crazy. My boss at the time kind of was a little hesitant. He was wondering, why are you doing this?
Like,
why are you coming here?
What kind of trouble are you in?
Yeah, exactly. What type of what did you do? And I'm like, nothing. I swear. I wanted to expand my knowledge and get into sales because I've always had a drive for sales. Did that for 2 years, and then my wife, she's a pilot as well. She said to me, we were living down in Brunswick, Georgia at the time. She said, "Hey, I want to move back closer to home, Cleveland, Tennessee." I said, "Okay, well, find a new job and we'll do it." 2 weeks later, she's like, "Found a new job." I'm like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
Okay, now we got to sell a house. I got to find a new job. Like, we got to move. So luckily for us, it all kind of worked out. I ended up working actually at my father-in-law's tire store for a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, while we were making the transition. Got into aircraft financing through Sky Allies Capital, and fell in love with that industry. And luckily for me, when Craig Fuller bought Sky Allies Capital and turned it into Flying Finance, he was in Chattanooga. I was 45 minutes away already. So I had an office I just rolled right into an office rather than working from home.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It really worked out. And this industry is so dynamic and it's a lot of fun to work in.
Before we get into the finance side of stuff, let's go talk a little bit about your charter life. What aircraft did you fly? What was your favorite?
Yeah, I flew quite a different range of aircraft. My type rating was Beechjet 400A, 400 XP. And then also we did some King Air contract work on the side.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's cool.
What was more comfortable to fly?
King Air.
King Air for sure.
For sure, yeah. King Air. King Air, slower, lower. You're usually kind of more in the weather, but that airplane is just a tank.
Yeah, it seems awesome.
Oh yeah, it's great at everything, minus speed. But of course, that comes with the.
So why not the Beechjet?
Oh man, should I just dive into it?
Just dive into it.
That honeypot, man.
No, yeah.
It's got a.
Can you explain like what it was, like the actual?
Yeah. So the best way to describe it. So it was an in-cabin honeypot. So it could only be serviced from inside.
All right, real quick. How big is the Beechjet? Like,
God, what's a good way to describe it? I mean, it's a light jet. It's probably, you can't stand up in it. Definitely does not have a stand-up cabin. You could probably stretch your arms out and reach both sides.
So it's a small.
So, it's a small airplane. Then you get back into the potty seat. That's even smaller. All right,
is it like a full door at least, or a curtain? What is?
Yeah. There's a door or curtain. So. Long story short, underneath the potty seat is this little door. You open up the little door and you got to get all in there and disconnect all the hoses and everything and pull this pot of gold, let's call it, out from underneath the seat. Yeah. And unfortunately, as you're doing this, there's, you can tell what's going on back there.
How can you tell?
Well, there's a little flap. There's a little flap, and the flap tells a lot of stories. I'll leave it at that for now.
Hopefully nobody had white carpet in the cabin.
Oh, well, you were very careful. Don't forget, after you got this thing out, you then had to walk it down the aisle. So this aisle is narrow. So you've got this honeypot and you're just, and you're focused. You're all eyes on this.
Yeah.
Because last thing you want
all eyes on that flap.
Last thing you want to do is drop. And then the best part too is handing it off to the line guys because they're just as disgusted. They're like, "Oh, this is nasty." But then after that, it's no longer my problem. Hand it off to the line guys and let them go do their thing.
Dude, that would ground an airplane if you dropped that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
God, I don't want to think about that.
I would have to go to overhaul
Oh, it would
interior
be
mode.
Need new
full
interior,
I'm not even
yeah.
kidding.
full, yeah, at minimum full detail. If not, rip it all out. Heck.
Any other horror stories from being a beach jet pilot? Any airflow issues?
No, not really. I mean, the beach jet it's the way we described it was okay at everything. It was a really heavy airplane to fly. It had spoilerons rather than ailerons, which is actually kind of the military uses the beach jet, the military variant,
Mhm.
as a trainer aircraft for people who are going to go fly tankers, KCs, and models like that.
Nice.
Because it flies so heavy, it gives characteristics of a larger jet.
I don't think that's a good thing.
Not in a small jet.
Yeah.
A small jet. And the other thing too is when you're landing in a crosswind, because it's spoilerons,
Yeah.
if you deploy the speed brakes on landing, which is a manual deployment, it's a switch, a little lever there on the
Is
right
it just
side of
one
the pilot.
setting or
Yeah, it's just on or off. It'll snap the yoke back to straight and level, and then you got to add your crosswind.
oh fun.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's nice and scary.
yeah, it's an interesting airplane to fly.
It's unique. It keeps things interesting.
Oh, it definitely keeps
Yeah.
things interesting.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's relatively fast. It's a Mach 7.8 airplane. Can cruise pretty high. So
Nice. So would you ever go back to flying full time?
full time, probably not. Again, it didn't quite meet my schedule. I'm a homebody. I love being home. I love going home at night and sleeping in my own bed. And that's the main thing. You know, I'm the type of guy that brings my pillow with me to hotels. Y'all know that. Y'all spent some time with me. I whipped out my pillow, you know, down at Sun and Fun. It's just the type of person I am. Now, my wife, on the other hand, perfect.
Loves it.
With it. Loves it. So
What does she fly?
she flies a Honda Jet. She flies for
Oh,
Volato.
nice.
Yeah, she flies for Volato in the Honda Jet. I can't speak highly enough of that company.
Everybody
Yeah.
loves the Honda Jet. I don't know about the company, but
yeah, everybody loves the Honda Jet. The aircraft is amazing. It's super technology advanced.
Yeah.
It's a great airplane.
Nice. So pivoting over to your current role,
Yeah.
flying finance.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more. What does day to day in Keller's life look like? At flying
Day to
finance?
day in my life. Lots of emails, lots of phone calls, lots of terms and quotes. So I will say on average, you know, in a given day, we're getting anywhere between 10 to 15 applications, where we're then diving into, you know, doing credit checks and looking into these financial backgrounds, and also looking heavily at these assets, especially the piston market.
Yeah.
And looking at values, looking at engine times, looking at any type of, you know, large maintenance items that they have. We do a lot more than just, you know, write the money for these loans. There's a whole lot more that goes into it.
So, like, just if you had to estimate, how many of those transactions that you're dealing with are piston airplanes and not jets?
I would say we're doing a majority are pistons. So naturally there's a larger piston market. So we're heavily, you know, involved in the piston market just because there's way more transactions in the piston world than there are in the jet world. You know, let's say in a given month we might do 30 pistons and 5 jets. So it's just, and again, it's because the market is there's so many transactions in the piston world that it's just naturally we're going to have more piston aircraft.
So, you know, I know we had Preston on, geez, it was a couple months ago now, talking a lot about jets.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, you know, obviously piston world's a little more attainable for the majority of people, including our audience here. So what's kind of like, if you had to give 3 pieces of advice to people looking to go buy a piston airplane, maybe their first one, what would you tell them?
Heavily look at logbooks, and know what maintenance items have been completed. So, from a asset viewpoint, we look heavily at engine overhauls, consistent annuals, and complete logbooks. So my first piece of advice is ideally, you want to have an airplane that's had an overhaul. Well, first of all, you want it to be under TBO, so under to be overhauled, which let's say in Lycoming 0360, that's a 2,000-hour engine. So you want it to be under 2,000 hours and overhauled within 20 years. That's your goal on the engine. Then as far as logbooks, good complete logbooks for at least 20 consecutive years is ideal. We can finance airplanes that don't have complete logbooks. It does generate a new level of complexity into the deal. And we can also finance airplanes over TBO. But it usually requires some extra liquidity and providing some more bank statements and things like that to prove that if the engine were to, clunk out the next day, you have the availability to keep this airplane flying.
So do banks know this? Is that why?
Yes.
Okay.
And I assume that's all part of their credit package, right? Is to evaluate that and make that decision accordingly. So I asked Preston this also about the demographics of the people going out and purchasing jet airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys see for the Piston side? Do you see it like hiring W-2 people? You see a lot of airline pilots? Yeah.
All walks of life. We see a lot of people who are they've never actually even they have a student pilot's license. They're in a completely different industry, W-2 earners, and I'm not even high earning W-2 earners. And they want to kind of help lower their cost of flight training, and they go and buy their own airplane. We help with that. Then at the same time, we deal with high earning W-2 earners, airline pilots, people like that that are usually stepping up into maybe the SR models or Bonanzas, things like that. So
how much is it like? If you had to again take an estimate between people who are just enthusiasts and want to get their own airplane to fly around quote recreationally, and then people who are doing it because they have a business need for it?
Yeah. So in the Piston market, it's heavily, I would say probably 70% of people are doing this as kind of a hobby. It's not really a requirement for what they need for travel. And then the other 30% being people who are using this for business travel to get to and from for meetings and things like that. But definitely heavily swayed towards the hobbyist.
Nice.
Yep.
Why should somebody looking for an aircraft go through you guys and not, go to a credit union or a bank?
Yeah. So what we do is, what I like to say is when we get into these more complex financials, we really fight for our customers. We do everything in our power to get them an approval. So a lot of times, take it for what it is. Business owners, they like to write off a lot of things. Well, what we like to do is turn those profits, show how those write-offs can now be used as profits and get you into an aircraft financing deal. We don't just kick you to the curb if you had a little hiccup in your credit. We can get LOIs, LOEs, letters of explanations. We can provide those to the banks, and we kind of go to bat for you and help generate an opportunity.
So you kind of educate the banks on like their whole situation.
Heavily.
Okay.
Heavily. Banks naturally, for the most part, not all banks, they don't understand aircraft, and the people on our team do. So we've got Preston Holland, who's heavily involved in aviation. He's been, doing aviation for majority of his career. Me, I've been ATP, CFI, CFII. I know airplanes really well. And then we have our other loan specialist, Kimsey, who is also a CFI. So he is heavily involved in understanding assets, understanding aircraft. So it definitely helps when we're talking to the banks that don't know much about aircraft. We can kind of help coach them, and they listen to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And you have that credibility, I guess.
Yeah. We have
backgrounds.
We have the
like,
pedigree.
Yeah.
We have the pedigree that they trust. So it definitely kind of helps persuade and help them make decisions faster.
Nice.
And that's the other thing, speed. We're all about speed. We know that they want to close on these aircraft quick. We're incentivized to close on them fast as well. So we want to move these things through and get them to close and across the closing table as quick so that they can go enjoy their new, whether it be a toy for them or whether it be a business tool.
So do people come with you with like an aircraft in mind or even an aircraft selected that they want to finance? Or
sometimes,
yeah,
50-50.
Okay.
Good mixture. So a lot of people come to us. They're really early in the stage. They don't even know what they want to buy. at that point, we kind of, we educate them to a certain level depending on their experience in aviation. Sometimes we will suggest that they talk to an aircraft broker so that they can kind of get more insight into what aircraft is going to be best for their mission. And then on the other side of that, we have people coming to us who already have an airplane selected. They're ready to rock and roll, and they're ready to close in 2 weeks. And yeah, we're all for it.
What's the quickest deal you guys made? Like,
I think we closed one. I want to say it was in 5 days.
Wow.
It was, but everything went perfect. I mean,
I bet like everything was probably just
application and full financial package in 1 day. Next day it was in underwriting. Following day it got approved. Boom, straight into escrow. Money was wired in. We were closing on Friday.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, what was that? What aircraft was it?
It was, I believe it was a 172.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, if those smaller, deals, I say smaller, they're still expensive.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. $80,000 airplane is not cheap.
Yeah.
Interest rates high right now.
High compared to this time last year.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. But still,
yeah,
higher
they're
end of
elevated right now. They are elevated. So on a Piston aircraft, and we'll talk about loan amounts above $100,000. I think that's a healthy budget for a Piston. You're looking at around 7.2, 7.5, depending on financial situation. Yeah, and that's going to be general Part 91 use, no flight school leasebacks. So for somebody who's just a hobbyist flyer, that's going to.
So does interest rate go up based on like if you're going to lease it back or use it? No way.
Yeah,
so,
high risk.
But okay, there's a great question you just prompted me to ask. It's embedded in there, and I know you really want to talk about it. Which is, what is a flight school leaseback?
Oh gosh. All right. So a flight school leaseback, the best way to kind of describe this is, Kevin, let's take you, for instance. You want to buy an airplane. Okay. And let's say you are the flight school owner. Mm-hmm. You're the flight school owner. So you're going to buy the airplane. You two are going to have an agreement where he can use your airplane in his flight school, and he is going to fly it for X amount of hours a month. Usually there's a minimum. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. In return, he is going to pay you a flat hourly. For every hour that the airplane flies, he's going to pay you, call it $70. Okay. You, on the other hand, are going to be charging your students $150.
Right.
All right. So you have an $80 margin. In return, though, you are going to be paying for all of his general maintenance and any type of like hangar fees,
right,
storage fees, and insurance.
It's a lease. I mean,
it's a lease. Yeah. So it's essentially allowing a flight school to use your airplane in their fleet for flight training.
Dude, I could see why the banks get a little weary about that.
Why, Ryan?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Let's expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a flight school, right? Your risk profile just goes exponentially up when you have a student pilot in there.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Clapped out.
And that is, they do. Let's be all. Hey, you've gone through flight training. I've gone through flight training. I have slammed some
Me too.
airplanes.
I'm like, how is this still taxing?
And I've roasted some tires. I've roasted
landing with full brake.
Oh yeah.
Flight school mechanics, man. There's a special.
Those
guys
are some tough cookies.
Man.
They see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's like ER doctors, and then there's flight school mechanics.
Yep. Well, not even to mention the stuff that's not flying. Kids leaving cowl plugs in,
Dude, leave
I've watched that happen.
Type of stuff,
I've watched that happen. Yep. I've seen gear up.
Just the smells.
I saw it one time.
Just that interior is cooked.
Yeah. And on a hot day. I saw in Phoenix one time, our little airport on the east side of Phoenix. I saw a couple times, actually, a lot of people go out into the dirt. They'd land and they'd skid off and go into the dirt.
Just casual. Yeah. They ended up in the dirt.
Yeah. Again.
I mean, we just sent the fire trucks. So we're fine. We'll get a tow out. It happened quite often.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. But my thing, why do a lot of these flight schools have these sheepskin, wool seats?
Yeah, like the thick
that
ones?
just soak up.
I mean, obviously it's for the
Yeah.
fire, the fire retardant material.
Well, now we have to get real with it.
It's like it's like commercial airliners have it too.
Can we there's got to be an innovation for that.
There's got to be something.
It's
like
hot,
you sit in that and it like you can hear it like And you're like,
and then dude, just everything you touch,
It's all
just
sweaty,
disgusting.
greasy. Yeah.
I used to get-
flight schools change that.
You should
Yeah.
get like a little fan, like one of those fans you put on a baby's crib and then put it on the dash so it gets you air. It was in Arizona in the summer. Oh,
Oh, it's horrible.
it's horrible.
Impossible. Yeah, and even anywhere in the summer flying GA.
It's
You don't have
just,
AC.
just
I mean, I fly an Archer that has AC, but you can't run it during takeoff, so you got to turn it off.
Yeah.
It's nice though, taxiing around with AC.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
I didn't have that when I was in
No.
flight school.
I mean, I didn't either.
I mean,
I didn't have a GPS or anything. We can get into that, but
Yeah.
so that's why it's
Yeah.
higher interest rate. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's high risk, therefore the bank has to take that risk assessment into play, which then
Yeah.
leads to a higher interest rate.
That makes a lot of
And a lot of times too. So, I'll just give you the rundown on a flight school leaseback. Usually the term is cut from 15 to 20 years down to about 10 years. The rate is about a point to a point and a half increase. And the down payment usually raises up to about 20 to 25%.
Dang.
Yeah. So again, it's because of the risk. They know that people are going to be learning in these airplanes, and there's a high possibility of loss.
Yeah. So often when I look at, even buying an aircraft or people talking about it, they talk about that it's not affordable. I actually don't think buying the aircraft is the part that's the issue. It's the actual owning it.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you guys see? Where you got to prep clients like, hey,
Yes.
I know you can afford this payment, insurance, but
Yeah.
hangar, maintenance, fuel. Like,
Yeah. And
landing
banks
fees.
banks are usually pretty good
Okay.
at requiring like a little bit of liquidity to kind of make sure that, hey, they're not going to throw all of their money into a down payment where now they can't even
Yeah,
afford to fly the airplane. Yeah. So one thing to keep in mind is buying the airplane is just the initial cost. Like you just said, you have maintenance, fuel, just fuel.
They're just flying around.
Just flying around
Yeah.
costs money.
Oil. You're burning.
Yeah, and you also need to prepare for, if you fly it enough, you're going to eventually need an overhaul, and depending on the engine, that can be anywhere from $20,000 up to $60,000-$70,000 if it's a higher horsepower 6-cylinder
Insane.
engine. So,
Yeah.
it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind when you buy. The initial cost is not the only cost you have.
Yeah. Have you guys done any cool, unique deals? Any aircraft or situation that stood out?
Yeah. So recently we just closed on a Citation M2, which it was a 2022 model. So
Oh,
really nice.
really
Yeah,
nice.
really,
Yeah.
really new. And newer aircraft are easier to get through underwriting through assets. So it was a lot of fun. The client was super happy. And we were able to close that deal relatively quick.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, we're always dealing with different types of pistons, from experimentals up to, bonanzas. And
Are those hard to explain to a bank, like an experimental or versus certified? Is there any?
no, yes and no. It really depends. If it's a well-known experimental, so let's say a van, an
Yeah.
RV, everybody knows those.
They're basically certified.
Yeah, they're
It's like,
basically
yeah.
certified. There's tons of them. Now, as far as and again, this is not a known brand, but Pipistrel. Some
yeah.
banks are like, I'm not too sure about it. But then we have other banks who are like, bring them on.
Didn't Textron just buy them?
I'm
Who
not
did
too
they just
familiar with that.
No. Yeah. An airline guy did.
Yeah, he
Huh?
definitely.
I don't know why you look at
No.
me, like,
Anyway.
for help.
No,
What is a prop? Do you know what a propeller is?
Prop. It goes on the front of the airplane, right? I know what the difference is between a feathered prop and a non-feathered.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a turbine guy. Okay.
there's
Yeah, I had a
still
question.
props.
Do you guys finance kits? Like
If they are built,
unbuilt? Like just,
unbuilt, not currently.
Okay.
Not currently. We are working with a bank right now to talk about doing some type of progress payments style on almost like a construction loan.
Yeah.
But we currently do not have any offerings, but hopefully here before much longer, we'll be able to present something to clients that are looking in that market.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how that works.
That's
Yeah.
kind of new. I mean, new world. There's not a lot of financing out there for kids.
There really isn't. So what is that?
But usually
There's
people
one company that,
kind
yeah.
of pay as you go. They buy part of the kit. They usually don't buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Pay as you go.
If you want to learn more about kits, you can tune into our previous episode of Inside Aviation.
with
Mark Cook?
Did you listen to that one?
Oh, yeah.
The Kit Planes one?
I did not listen to the Kit Planes
Oh,
one.
okay.
He doesn't. You don't listen to it at all, do you?
But, Guys, I'm a busy guy.
Yeah.
I'm a busy guy.
Yeah,
All right.
the homebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, the home
Okay.
body's busy.
But when I'm at home, I'm also watching YouTube a lot.
No, that's interesting.
But we're on YouTube, so
No, we should check it out. But yeah, no, I want to see that happen. It's like I can buy a whole kit, avionics package, engine.
Yeah.
so
No. So one thing to keep in mind though, kit builds are fine as long as they are built, and have an N number registered.
Yeah.
Like that's not. It's the issue is buying the kit unbuilt at the time.
Yeah.
The bank sees it as well. There's not really collateral for them to put a lien on at that point.
It's
not registered. Yeah, you're just buying material, raw material, and eventually, in their eyes, they're hoping it comes in airplanes. So that's why they're not comfortable with it quite yet.
So I want to pivot. We're talking about kit planes. I call it kit planes, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a plane. What about the seaplanes? You get a lot of people wanting to come finance those.
Again, it's a smaller market. Yes, we get people coming to us. I wouldn't say it's an abundant, thing that we have. They are a little bit more difficult to finance.
I was going to say, did the banks see a little more of a higher risk profile there?
Exactly.
So
it's just like leasebacks.
There's a caveat there because outside of the Sea Ray and the Icon, so you can put a 182 on floats and then take them off right in the winter.
Yeah.
Does the bank know that?
Am
I telling them right now?
You're not necessarily telling them, but
so if you buy 182 that comes with floats, but it's not on floats when you're buying it, does that factor in?
So normally the loan package is going to have a lot of legal verbiage in it that says what you can and can't do.
Okay.
So to clients, I recommend when you get those loan documents, read them. If you have some type of counsel, send it to them, have them review it, make sure there's any high points noted that the can't do is very important. So if you're a lot of people don't want to tell us that they're doing a flight school leaseback. Well, in your loan document package that you sign and you agree to, it somewhere will say you cannot lease this back to a flight school.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't disclose that information sooner, it's going to have a clause that says you can't do it. If you were to do it and if you were to get caught, they could call the loan.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's something to keep in mind that it's probably not worth it to disclose information of how you're going to be using these airplanes. Honesty is the best policy.
I like,
That's
but
what my mom always said growing up.
But you know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because so many, loan officers or people who sort of sponsor loans like you guys do will withhold information, whether it's aircraft loan, vehicle loan, even mortgages.
Then you get screwed later.
Then you get messed up later.
Yeah.
So you know what? That's pretty cool, Kelly.
I'll take it.
Keller Lester.
I've been called worse.
But yeah, that's pretty cool that you're really just straight up and honest.
Yeah, transparency is the key in this market, especially aviation's a small world. So the last thing I want to do is get somebody into a loan that is not right for them.
That's great.
Yep.
That's good to hear.
And again, it's a coaching thing too. A lot of people will come to us and say, well, I don't know if I should tell you this. I don't know if I should tell the bank this. And I always say, look, it's always best to tell us.
Yeah.
We can still work with you. We're still going to get the deal done, but there might be some caveats to the
loans. Aren't one of those things where you can, blank around and find out later.
Banks are no, and not when you're dealing with, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because if they call the loan, they don't give you a grace period.
No.
They want that money and they want it now.
And there was a, what's that guy's name? We're going to have to cut this. The guy who's based in Nashville, the financial advisor. He has his own radio show.
Oh.
Dave Ramsey.
Dave
Ramsey. Let's pick it up here. Yeah. So I was watching Dave Ramsey, and he made a really good point the other day about how people think that the bank's kind of their friend, right? That they're going to help them out if they get into a situation. The Chase Bank or whoever your bank, they're not your friend.
Keller's your friend.
I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get yourself into a pickle,
call Keller.
Call me. We'll refinance whatever loan you're in, get you in with another bank. And if it happens again, we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. And we'll keep finding
There's a lot of banks around here.
You'll pay for it.
But ideally, you're not going to get into a pickle again after me, because we're gonna figure out how you're using the aircraft. We're going to make sure we get you into a loan that is acceptable with your usage.
Yeah.
And give terms that work for you, your business, however you want to operate.
Oh, that's awesome. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Where can people find you?
People can find us online, flyingfinance.com. Or you can email me directly, keller@flyingfinance.com. So either way, we're also on LinkedIn.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Beach jet,
you can ask me about any airplane, financing.
Yeah.
If you have anything you want to know about.
Just to chat if they're lonely.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm all for it. My wife does week on, week off rotation. So,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes at 9:00 at night, I'm on my email. I'd love to get some.
Yeah, I saw you guys on your little chat thing.
Yeah.
From the website. You guys are
Yep.
always answering those.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be you're going to AirVenture, right?
Yes, I will be at Oshkosh. I'll actually be in the campground. Yep.
Nice.
This year we are camping. So happy for any viewers out there that want to stop by.
Yeah.
We'll
You're gonna be at the booth too?
We'll be at the booth.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
So
We'll see you there.
All right.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Thanks, Keller.
Thanks, guys.
Keller.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Inside Aviation. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Keller. Really great guy and great conversation. Make sure you support us by subscribing to our magazines, Flying Magazine, Plane and Pilot, Kit Planes, Aviation Consumer, IFR Magazine, and many more.
Aviation Safety.
Aviation Safety, thank you. And be sure
subscribe to our newsletters. Email us too, please.
Oh, of course. Yep. Subscribe to our newsletters, email list, and be sure to shoot us an email at insideaviation@firecrown.com if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for the show. Thanks for tuning in.